Tell me what's in your cup while we cheers to parents out there. You know, all the good parents. Snaps and claps go out to you because you play such an important role in the whole gift of life. Like truly, I'm not trying to be mushy gushy, but I'm straight up being like, as we check out these parents that are a little entitled and a little, I want to acknowledge the good parents out there who are doing a great job. Kudos to you. This one's for you. All right, we are cheersing to you. You're doing a great job. Or you're already done because your kids might be grown and I bet they're wonderful. Cheers. On the first day of kindergarten, we had the parents give hugs and then leave so we could start story time with the kids. One mom was found peeking in the windows and the assistant principal had to ask her to leave. She claimed that her son was upset and still needed her, but he was doing great and making new friends. We thought she had left, but at recess, we saw the bushes start to move. She literally hid in the bushes to check on her son. This is the definition of helicopter mom, right? I see that term going around where it's just they float over their child and they have to oversee everything and be involved in everything. The helicopter parent. One child's married father swiped right on me on Tinder. How awkward. I had Tinder Gold. I don't know what that means, but all right. And could see who had liked me. Obviously, I didn't match with him. He then requested a meeting with me to ask why I hadn't matched with him. How creepy and inappropriate. When I explained that it would be impossible for me to date a parent, he was furious. He filed a complaint about me every week for the rest of the school year, which was funny because he'd been singing my praises up until when I rejected him. Of course, because you hurt his poor little ego. He must have badmouthed me to the other parents too because they suddenly became very cold toward me, his poor wife and child. Oh, we are forgetting the part that he's married. Right, so he has a child and a wife, and yet he's on Tinder, swiping on teachers of his child. That's great. Well, that's why he's mad. Not only did you hurt his ego, but he's also like, oh my God, what if she mentions this to my wife or my child and they find out that I'm a piece of shit? A parent threatened to call the police because her son lent out his fidget spinner to a classmate, and people say I'm dramatic. At the end of the day, he decided that he wanted to retract the loan and asked for it back. The other student said he'd borrow it for the night and bring it back the next day. The parent yelled in my face and said she was calling the police over the stolen toy, then proceeded to hunt down the child in question before he boarded the bus. The kids were in kindergarten. Oh my gosh. Imagine getting that phone call as a police officer.
911, what's your emergency?
My son's in kindergarten and he lent out his fidget spinner but then kind of took it back, and now, like, can you imagine? I would have never hung up a phone so fast. We had a student whose mom made him wear pull-ups until second grade 2. His mom would come up to the school and change. Oh, this just feels so inappropriate. His mom would come up to the school and change his pull-up every day at lunch. The poor kid was visibly embarrassed every time. He was the youngest of 4 kids and mom couldn't handle that he wasn't a baby anymore. I feel bad for the child. I used to be a daycare teacher and I also worked with school-age kids in the before and after program. So I'm thinking about grade 2, some of my students that were in grade 2, and I can't physically fathom their mother coming and changing their diaper essentially, and how violating and embarrassing that would feel, and confusing and awkward and inappropriate. Like, that's wild. I'm not a mom, so like, moms out there, chime in. I once scheduled a conference with a mom and dad because their daughter was having issues getting her work done. The dad showed up in a shirt that said, "Beer drinkers get the oh, well, that's appropriate to wear to a school. Beer drinkers get the most head." He then proceeded to slam his fists on the table and storm out of the room when one of my colleagues mentioned that his daughter had missed turning in a project. My school ended up going into lockdown because they had lost track of him somewhere in the building. Oh my God. The mother acted totally unfazed. The school eventually filed a restraining order against him. I cut their daughter a lot of slack after that. Wow, that's not where I thought that story was going. Isn't that funny how parents will get mad that their student, like that their child didn't hand in the project? I'm not a parent, but I'm sure you feel protective of your child. And you, if someone's like, oh, well, they did something wrong, you're probably quick to be like, well, no, they didn't, because my kid would never do anything wrong. They're perfect. Although I feel like my parents did not do that. Like, If I did not hand in a project, I probably got a talking to about the importance and the responsibility of doing my homework and handing in my project on time, as one should. I phoned a parent to tell them that their child hadn't attended detention. The parent shouted at me, called me stupid, and said her child didn't do detentions. I said goodbye and hung up. She then phoned me back to shout at me again for speaking to her in my hoity-toity voice. Okay, well, again, I just can't relate to this because if I did something wrong and got a detention, both of my parents would make sure that I showed up for the consequences of my own actions and my poor decision making. So this style of parenting, I cannot relate to. And truthfully, I don't quite agree with it. So maybe that's why I'm not a parent. And maybe that's why I shouldn't be. I got no business being a parent. I'm gonna just say it. I got no business being a mother. High school teacher here. Good for you. One day I caught a student smoking in the bathroom and he got suspended. His enraged mother called me to say I was a huge liar and a bully. She also said she knew for a fact that her son didn't smoke because she smelled his fingers every day when he got home from school. WTF. Oh, Mom. You just want to believe that your child would never smoke. Because smoking comes from the devil. And you want to believe that they wouldn't smoke. I can guarantee you, they're probably smoking. Never smoked a cigarette in my life. Was not smoking in high school. However, let's be real. There were things that we did that we lied and hid from our parents. Like, hello. Yes, I got wasted last night. Yeah, I woke up in a freaking bush. Like, not gonna tell my parents that. Anyways, I don't know why I had to unleash all of that on the internet, but here we are. Dad, if you're watching, I'm sorry. I was teaching senior English, and for a final paper, a student turned in something he had printed off the internet. He didn't even fix the obvious formatting errors from the copying and pasting. Oh God, you rookie. You gotta at least make it look like you wrote it. When I confronted him, he said that he had written the paper, but his mom had edited it. So she must have plagiarized. I called the mom to tell her that her son was getting an F on his final and she flipped out. When I told her that he blamed her, she said, well, if I did it, you certainly can't fail him. She went all the way to the superintendent of the county, but my grade stood as it should. Are you kidding me? Plagiarism is like the #1 lesson that we learned once we started writing papers. Because I'll be honest, there are definitely sentences, not an entire paper, that I would copy and paste and then maybe like change a word or two and hope that it sounded smarter than what I had written. Until I learned the very serious lesson of plagiarism and how easy it is to find plagiarism nowadays. But yeah, hey, let's not teach that to our children. Let's let them do whatever they want. I was new to the district and was set to replace a drama teacher who was a town legend and had worked at this school for over 40 years. The mom of a senior student came in my first week with a 5-page list, front and back, of all the things I was doing wrong and questions about how I was going to highlight her star of a child that year. And this is why I never went on to become a drama teacher. Guys, you probably don't even know this, but I took drama in university, and the program I took was also drama in education and community, where it was like a mix of both. You could act, or you could also like teach. You could teach drama with your degree because you did the placements and everything like that. It was a way to kind of get like a teacher's degree within the program of also performing. Great. Yeah. Can you picture me as a drama teacher? I really once could picture me as a high school drama teacher. I'm very close with my high school drama teacher today. See her anytime I'm home. We text all the time. And my dance teacher. Love them both. They're a huge part of who I am. But me? I think I'd have a lot of fun, but my patience with these students, ain't no way. Ain't no way. I'm gonna keep my mouth. You know what I mean? Because I know those kids are gonna sass me like I sass my teachers. And I won't handle that well. One time, a mother somehow got my personal number and proceeded to harass me all summer through phone calls and texts. She was mad because I gave her child an A- instead of an A+. Needless to say, she was blocked and her child was never put in my art class again. Oh my God. I mean, I can't relate to this because I don't think I've ever received an A- or an A+ in my life. I would be genuinely surprised if I looked back on report cards and saw an A- or an A+. I was just like that. You know what, in drama and dance, maybe. Those are probably the only 2 classes that I would get A's in. Anything else, brutal. My parents would probably be thrilled if I came home with an A-. I was 7 months pregnant while we were having our parent-teacher conferences. I had a parent look me up and down and say, "You knocked up?" That's the polite way of asking. Yeah, obviously I was. Then she proceeded to tell me that I needed to send video messages to her son and to the class daily while on maternity leave because it would be too hard for the students to learn while I was gone. Yeah, I'm absolutely not gonna be doing that. I will have a newborn to look after as well as myself to look after just pushing out a human out of my coo hole. So I'm gonna say no. I will not be sending daily videos. Your child will be just fine. All right, y'all, before I get too annoyed, I better leave because I'm saying too much. All right, this mouth is going wild these days. So stay classy out there, stay sassy, and I'll see you tomorrow.